to the little village again. This was the village where a shoemaker, also known as a cobbler, lived and worked at his craft. Alas, he had become poorer and poorer as the years went by. At last he had leather enough to make one pair of shoes. In the evening he cut out the pattern, and then he went to sleep. The next morning, the shoemaker took up a needle and thread, meaning to sew the shoes. But there they stood, neatly sewn and finished on his table. The shoemaker could not believe his eyes. Not a stitch was out of place, and the work was better than any he had ever seen. As he held the shoes, marveling at them, a customer entered the shop wishing to have a pair of shoes repaired. As the customer was leaving the shop, the new shoes were noticed and, with much excitement, tried them on. He was so pleased with the shoes that he paid far more than the ordinary price, and the shoemaker was able to buy leather for 2 pairs more. That evening, the shoemaker cut out the pattern for the 2 pairs of shoes, and then he went to sleep. The next morning, the shoemaker prepared to begin work. But there was no need for it because the shoes had already been made and were as well stitched and handsome as the other pair. 2 customers came to the shop to have their shoes repaired. They saw the beautiful new shoes and bought them for a good price. And this time, the shoemaker was able to buy leather enough for 5 pairs. and so it went. What the shoemaker cut out at night was finished in the morning, and customers were never lacking. Soon the shoemaker became a wealthy man.
Cobbler, cobbler, where's your shoes? Do you know your arms will use? People come from all the towns. Those shoes are worth 1,000 crowns.
Always the shoemaker wondered about the skill of the work, and one evening, not long before winter, he said to his wife, "How would it be if we were to sit up tonight to see who has been helping us these many months?" She agreed at once, and so they did not go to sleep but hid themselves in the corner of the room. Just at midnight, many tiny little elves came and sat down at the shoemaker's table. They wore ragged clothes and said not a single word, but immediately began to work. They stitched and hammered and sewed so neatly and quickly that the shoemaker was amazed. As soon as everything was finished and placed upon the table, they ran quickly away. Elves have made us rich, and I think we ought to thank them," said the shoemaker's wife. "They ran about with such thin clothing on and will freeze with the cold this winter. Now I shall sew them tiny shirts and knit them caps and socks, and you must make them each a pair of shoes." The shoemaker and his wife worked hard all day and had everything ready by evening. Then they hid themselves to see how the little elves would receive their presents. At midnight, the elves came back into the room and sat down at the table. But instead of leather cut out and waiting, they found the wonderful little clothes. At first the elves were surprised, and then they were delighted. They put on the shirts and socks and caps and buckled the tiny shoes upon their feet. When they were done, they ran their hands up and down the pretty clothes and admired each other, singing,
Now that we're out so fine and neat, like how they want for others' feet.
They hopped and danced about the shoemaker's shop.
So then